scouting data scientist, Red Bull Leipzig. So again, how did it come about? What's the differences? Because you got a little mixed bag going here, Tom. So
Yeah,
through this one.
sure. Yeah, so yeah, came about just essentially I kept in contact with someone who works in the department who I met at a conference, and he called me up one day and just said like, look, we're looking for someone, just trying to speak to a few people to gauge interest. The ad's going up next week. Just to go kind of heads up and see where you're at. And I kind of hit a bit of a saturation point where I'd probably written every type of article I wanted to write at the Athletic, and answered every kind of data request that had come my way. So I was looking definitely to cut my teeth a bit at a club, and there are probably a few better opportunities than working for RB Leipzig. So I thought, I'm gonna give it a try. Had an application go in, sent some code, and then had a few rounds of interviews, and then flew out there to go and visit the club, and kind of had like a final stage interview. And I was at a point in life, single, no real responsibilities, ready to, during COVID, ready to maybe get outside and see something new. So I kind of took the leap really. So I moved over there in November of 2021, and was just based purely in the scouting team. So it was me, all the kind of like different video scouts, end scouts, etc., scouting coordinator, and the head of the department. And then it's an amazing role really, just kind of going in and being able to have carte blanche ownership of how RB Leipzig uses data to scout players using whatever data sets we kind of needed, with a pretty big budget for these things. And fantastic boss, fantastic people who are extremely smart and good at what they do. And it was a real kind of university education of how to scout and think about football. So it was a really fantastic experience, really.
Nice. Off-topic question, a bit selfish. I'm going to Leipzig this year, in
Nice.
about next month for the Euro. So what's it like, Tom? Give me any recommendations for some bars
Yeah,
or something?
it's nice. Yeah, there's a pizza place called 60 Seconds to Napoli, which I've frequented a lot, which I'd highly recommend. There's some streets and bars not too far away, but honestly, it's a really nice town, like a town city. It's not the biggest. It's definitely worth like one of the days you're there, just walk the whole thing. Like it's
Mm,
possible. It's a lot of nice green space. If you're there for a few days and the weather's nice, there's a few lakes. They call them seas over there, but
mm.
essentially like you're at the beach, and you're in the middle of Germany. That's what it feels like. So those are like a cycle ride away, 25 minutes from the center. So yeah, highly recommend Leipzig. It's a lovely place.
Nice, perfect. Yeah, I've got a couple of days there, so I'll check out the pizza place.
Are you going to a game, the Euros,
No,
or?
I've not managed to get any tickets, so I'm still
Okay.
on the lookout. Yeah, I tried so many applications in the ballots, but nothing yet. But never know. There's still time yet. There's still time.
Nice.
Perfect. So let's get back to the conversation. So in terms of then, you touched a little bit on it there, Tom, the department itself. So who
Yeah.
else was in that department in terms of the different roles, and how did the data side integrate with like the traditional scouts going out to watch games? How did all that fit together?
Yeah, sure. So I won't touch too much on the department setup, just because I think they're still quite watertight on how that looks like. But it was I'd say, very data driven in the way that the names that came into we had a really like clear process where like names would be flagged using data, using the different tools that we build with the different data sets. They then get assigned to scouts, and the scouts will do the work.
Mm,
So it wasn't any notion of kind of scouts picking their own games. And again, when I talk about earlier, um, departments kind of like learning and making mistakes, and doing all those things within data, and trying to get to like a point where they're like ahead in the field, or doing something that's more cutting edge. Like, I think the department of Leipzig, because it was probably only, the club's only 10, 15 years old. The department's a similar age.
mm,
Everyone in the department, bar a couple, were 30 and below. It isn't in the office. Some of the field scouts are a bit older. But you definitely had that like openness, and openness to mistakes, and they'd clearly gone through a lot of um, mistakes over the years and made a lot of learnings and learned from those. So there's just a lot of things that the department did, which I think was like are not done by
mm.
departments in the UK now, and they're just very, yeah, absolutely top of their game, really. So it meant I could go in, start building models, building ways of flagging players and getting them directly into the process. And there was no friction in doing that. There was no issue in doing that. There was no pushback, because they saw the value straight away. And maybe I'm still trying to work out, is it a Germany thing? Is it a Leipzig thing? I think it's probably more of a Red Bull and more of a Leipzig thing than potentially just like Germany per se. But definitely that's a difference maybe between that and the UK market, where the culture at clubs here, um, isn't as, it's not that they're not open to data, but they're like fully on it in Germany, whereas here it's still getting to that point.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, in this hypothetical, obviously, without giving too many secrets away, but just in terms of the process of identifying a player, would the data be used for that initially? So, let's say you're in the club, Tom, and how does it look from, okay, this guy looks like he might, the numbers are showing this guy's interesting. What happens from there? Like, where does it go?
Yeah, so kind of built out, build out a similar to a lot of clubs like have understanding of like, right, what is it we're looking for? How do we effectively measure things to flag players that do those things, and then having a process where you can put players into a system that they then can kind of get churned through and watched by the various scouts. So it was just having very formalized processes and stuff in the calendar weekly to do certain things and just churn through the work in a very standardized fashion. Really, that's it's quite dry, but that's just
Yeah.
how it kind of